Warning. This episode of Lifestyle Pirates includes the mention of suicide. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health or suicidal thoughts, know that you are not alone and that help is available. For help, please call the suicide helpline on 13 11 14. We will leave some links in the description. Thank you.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to this episode of Lifestyle Pirates number 71. With me, Big J, and him,
Adriano.
You forget your name? What happened?
Mate, I thought you were going to come. Mate, usually you say my name. I love it when I hear my Italian name in an English accent.
I like to keep you guessing.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
This week we have, well, I would say quite a magnanimous guest that you actually approached us to come on the show, which is tip of the hat from one of our previous guests, Peter. Now, Jason, I'm going to introduce you. Adriano, so the thing I like to do with him is I sort out all the guests.
Sure.
He has no idea who's coming on week.
Is that why he has the blank look looking at me? Like,
Yeah.
Who is this guy in a
Yeah,
white
exactly.
shirt? Yeah, all right, makes sense.
So he has no idea who you are, what your name is, even what we do. So when I introduce you, then he starts to formulate, right, what the hell are we going to talk about? Okay? So this is how
I'm just the editing guy.
So let's watch the cogs turn then. This is a moment. Let's have a moment.
Yeah, exactly.
We are on Lifestyle Pirates. So, mate, I mean, you're a motivational speaker. You've been a dive instructor on a mega yacht. You've worked for a precision car driving company in the marketing team, which is awesome. But most importantly, you're a Commonwealth Gold Medalist for Australia.
Yep.
Can we do the round of applause sound effect?
Fucking hell, that's cracker. If I don't get this right, it's going to sound horrible.
That was your entrance music.
That was almost like the start of the national anthem.
Edited out,
Exactly.
actually. No. There we got it. Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll stick to the guess. You do things.
Yeah.
Jason Cram, welcome to Lifestyle Pirates, mate. What an introduction.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here. It's quite balmy here this afternoon, isn't it? It's quite warm.
Very warm.
But no, let's see what happens. Let's go for a journey.
Absolutely. Well, mate, I think I'm going to start off with. I think we're just going to dive right in.
But don't.
Anyway, tough crowd.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Mate, what got you into swimming?
Swimming was, I grew up in Wollongong on the beaches, less than a kilometre from the beach. We'd always spend time down there as, a teenage kid. And I think, it's the Australian thing that we've got to get our kids into the water because we all love that water environment, whether it's the swimming pools, whether it's the beach, whether it's the lakes or the rivers. So swimming was a part of our family. But it actually went a little bit further because my mother was quite a good swimmer. So she trained with a really good coach by the name of Dom Talbot and also John Carew, who was Kieran Perkins, the great 1500 distance swimmer.
Wow.
So she was like of Olympic pedigree, but had a major shoulder injury and unfortunately didn't continue on swimming. So kind of swimming was for the three kids. I'm the middle child, older brother, younger sister. Swimming was something that all of us did. I just loved it. And then I was kind of good at it. So it's like anything that you're sort of good at, you kind of apply yourself. And then going through school, I was able to use that as an excuse to kind of get out of school a little bit. I wasn't very studacious.
Yeah.
It was more sporty. But only for the one time of the year, which is usually the start of the year, which was the school swimming carnival.
Yeah.
The rest of it, athletics, any excuse. The football games, I didn't make any excuse to get out of doing that. But yeah, swimming was my forte. So I loved it and just continued on with it. And then as you get better, you get into different squads, different teams.
Yeah.
You start getting some more gold medals, some trophies, and it sort of just went from there.
So how did you know, at what stage did you know you were good at it? Because, and this is, I'm super ignorant and naive to this world, but swimming is swimming, right? Is it speed? Is it technique? Is it just your love, the fact you just want to get up and do it all the time? What was it that you went, or maybe it was a family thing where they went, actually, you've got something here?
There was a bit of that, but you know what, and this is what, we'll find out later, this is what I do now, I teach swimming, but it's a feeling. It feels incredible. You guys will probably have that feeling, whether you're in the shower, whether you just jump into the ocean, whether,
I do have lots of feelings in the shower.
Are we PG here?
Yeah. Absolutely not.
In the first bit anyway. It's one of those things that I love that feeling being in the water.
Yeah.
I hated going to training. Because you're up at the, Sparrows Far.
Yeah,
you're up at like, when I was 9, 10, 11, 12, I was up at 5. Then as you get older, you start to get up a little bit earlier. And then towards the end of my career, I was getting up at 10 to 4 to drive 45 minutes up to Sutherland from Wollongong. But it's that feeling, and that's what I loved about it. The winning and, beating yourself and a little bit of bribery, especially when I was younger, from my parents for Mars bars. I swung a bit for Mars bars as a kid.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good trade-off.
Good trade-off.
So do you think your height helped as well? Because you are quite a tall guy.
I am quite tall, 6'3". So, yeah, pretty tall. But a lot of it is the mindset. Mm-hmm. It's like everything in life, right? It's the way that you apply yourself to it and the way you think about it allows you to kind of go that next step. So height, yes, part of it. But the cogs that go up there is what takes you to that next level.
You mentioned there's a big sort of swimming culture in Australia. It's 100% true. Every time I go overseas to Italy or Europe in general, not a lot of people can swim, right? And you go out there and what they call waves are not waves, right? And their rips are not rips.
Yep.
And you go out there and you just see people like absolutely struggling to swim. They only go out just to sort of waist height, even though waist height is quite far out. Mm-hmm. And what do you think? Is it because we're completely surrounded by beaches and that's sort of our sort of chill out, go for a swim sort of culture that we got here?
I think that's where it's all started from. We are that island sort of nation. We're a big bloody island, but we are an island nation. So, to have that water so close, and you think that, I think the statistics are still around 90% of the population lives on the coast.
Yeah.
There's not a lot in the middle. Whereas in the US, there's a lot of people in the middle. So, we have that kind of, that's what you think of when you come to Australia. For the first time when you come here, when you travel here, that's what the tourists, and I've traveled the world and met so many different people, and that's what they say. I want to come to Australia to go to the beaches.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everyone says it.
Yeah.
So when did you get tapped on the shoulder? So 11, 12, you said you were already training and everything like that. At that stage where you were at AIS, or how did it work?
At 13, I was at the AIS for a swimming camp.
Yeah.
And that was like a talent identification camp. So, that's what Swimming Australia, the governing body, are looking for those next athletes. So we're already kind of looking for athletes now that are going to be representing at the 2032 Olympics in Brisbane. We're trying to nurture that, nurture that kind of environment. And in these days, there's so much white noise out there in the world.
Yeah.
So trying to focus and get them focused on the younger age all the way through. But yeah, back to that, like at the AIS of 2000, when I was 13, it was like, oh gosh, when was that? A few years ago. Can't do the maths. Do the maths quickly at the top of the head. But yeah, I actually met there Gennady Turetsky. And Gennady Turetsky at the time was Alexander Popov's coach, one of the great sprint freestylers, Michael Klim's coach as well. And he pulled me aside, and I remember he was a Russian guy. He was like scary guy when you first met him, but soft when you actually got to know him. And I remember him saying to me, like, if you want to be a good swimmer, you just have to think about it and do it. Because, and believe in yourself. That was pretty much his words to me. Yeah. So as a 13-year-old kid, I was really inspired by that. And then that's kind of what took me, through the next stages of my career in swimming. And that sort of motivated me on.
Yeah. And it's so motivating that you became a motivational speaker as well, mate.
I'm only
you
just
think
getting.
That was one of the things.
It's funny. I'm only just getting into that because I've only just processed 20 years later from retiring from the sport. I've only just processed actually what happened during the sport. So a lot of that becomes your life. It becomes your world. That's all you do. I was up in the morning training. I was in afternoon training. But training wasn't just a one-off hit, an hour here, an hour there. We were at 2.5, 3 hours training each session and pushing yourself to the max. And, we all know what it's like sometimes just to get out of bed is an effort. Yeah, definitely. But you have to get up and kind of punish yourself.
And perform,
Yeah.
And you were still at school when you were training?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, all the way through.
Yeah. And so how did you balance the two? And I think maybe to what you said earlier on, the kind of white noise bit. I mean, we have so many distractions nowadays, so to have the discipline of staying focused to one thing or even two things like school and your swimming, how did you overcome that? Did you have a coach? Did you have a mentor? Was it family? Was it, who did you surround yourself with to stay on that track?
Coach was a big part of it. So I had many coaches in my younger years down in Wollongong, but Tracy Waters from Corrimal, she was one that I have to mention because she kind of took me through from about probably 12 to about 13, 14. Then I joined a squad in Unanderra, further south. It was with a very famous coach by the name of Ron McKeon. You might know his daughter's name, Emma McKeon. So he was my coach kind of growing up and become a family member. And that's what it becomes. You see more of your coach and the squad mates that you're with than you do of your own family sometimes. Yeah. So for me, that was a motivation enough. Ron was a former Olympian. His wife, Susie, was a Commonwealth Games and medalist as well. So, really good pedigree in with that. But you know what? One of the funniest things was my motivation and the person sort of idolized at that time was a guy called Dean Merson. Dean Mercer was a surf life-saving Ironman. He was incredible. He was only like 5 foot something. And I'd be swimming. We'd be like racing along together in our training sessions. We might be doing a set of 100s on pace. And we'd be doing the same time, but the stroke rate was completely different. So my stroke rate was about 45 strokes, per minute. Dino's, because he was so short, it was about 60 to 65. He's just like a little thrashing. So he had like the biggest heart.
You'd be gassed.
Oh, absolutely. He just the heart on him, the ticker on him. But the flip side of that, unfortunately, he passed away due to a heart attack in his mid 40s, and that just threw me and threw everybody within the surf life saving community. Yeah. But he was one of my inspirational people growing up. Yeah. Then obviously you had your swimmers like Kieran Perkins. He was somebody I looked up to. Definitely. And, then got into like your Grant Hacketts, your Ian Thorpes, that sort of stuff. Yeah. So that was,
What's the performance window on a swimmer?
Girls, they usually start a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
So around like 16, 17. Guys usually start around 18, 19 into their early 20s. Most females on average probably out of the sport by about 26, 27. Yeah. And some of the guys can go a little bit longer into, 28s. Probably by 30s they're out. Yeah. There was a guy that actually got the world record not long ago for short course swimming, so 25 metre swimming. He's in his 40s. Yeah. So he got the world record in the...
Far out.
Yeah. In his 40s.
Still performing. He's like Cristiano Ronaldo
pretty much.
Of swimming.
Of swimming. Yeah. I think he's a Brazilian too, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So, but now I think he's retired. Put up the Speedos.
So pool swimming and, say, English Channel swimming, completely different things?
Different mindset. Yeah. Similar concepts. Yeah. It's put the same analogy to like race cars. Yeah. Formula One and rally. It's still race cars, it's still cars, but different way that they deliver, different way that they do it, and different enduro. So yeah.
It's a good analogy you used.
Oh, hang on.
You're on it already.
I'm only warming up. Wait. Yeah. I live through analogies.
Yeah, I like that.
I love the fact that you've kind of mentioned, because everybody always says surround yourself with people that lift you up and surround yourself with better people so you learn more.
Yep.
I don't know if you realise, but you've just kind of you've mentioned who you surrounded yourself with, and they're all very successful people.
Correct.
Legends in their sports, but people that would just keep encouraging you. Because I can imagine there'd be some pretty dark times.
Oh, yeah. Huge.
There's a lot of pressure, especially at that age. And then so if you don't hit that number one day, or I can imagine the highs are very high and the lows are just as low.
It's a roller coaster. Yeah. It is the ultimate roller coaster. And my life is up until the point where I'm living now. Yeah. It has been a massive roller coaster until I've actually gotten control of it. Yeah. And now I've gone from the most extreme roller coaster in the world, something from Six Flags or something over there in the US, to now probably the little red rattler that you have here at Luna Park. Yeah. It's a little bit scary every now and then, but it's not, completely out of control.
Yeah. But there's always the fear of death on that.
Hey, there's always the fear you're going to be thrown off the side into the harbour.
I don't know how that ran as long as it did.
But yeah, look, to talk about the dark sides, I've been there. I've been to the edge, and I'm not scared to talk about that. In fact, I talk about it now, and that's a part of what the motivation is speaking, that I'm starting to put myself out there, like coming to you guys, putting myself out there, because that's something that I'm not that good at doing. I know I've got an amazing story, but I've kind of like kept it in, and some people need to get it out of me sometimes, but now I'm a little bit more open with it, because I realize that you can inspire people. Everybody's on a different story, on a different journey, on a different life path. And for me, those dark times that I've been through, it taught me so much about myself, what I will give, what I won't give. Yeah. And I think at the end of it, what I learned is what my self-worth is. Yeah. And, some people say if you've been to the edge and you brought yourself back, you don't really have depression or mental illness or anything like that. 20 years ago, this conversation would not exist.
Agreed.
And I think there's, it's good that it's out there. There's probably a bit too much of it because it's kind of going into that white noise stuff. It's great that people are talking. But I don't know if it's necessarily the right conversation sometimes. But yeah, look, anybody that's having bad thoughts that's out there, like, please reach out. There's people that can help you.
Oh, for sure. Beckham talked about it in his recent doco. Beckham is called, I think it is. It's about Beckham.
Yeah, funny that.
Who's in it?
Yeah,
Victoria Spice. That's one of the Spice Girls.
That's the only on Posh Spice, baby, if you're listening. No worry, mate. He talks about it. It was like, because it wasn't a thing, mental health. Like, if someone saw someone going through some of that shit back then, now, like, mate, it just wouldn't be on. Yeah. Everyone would be up in arms. Like, it's absolutely unacceptable what, the sort of abuse and treatment and everything that used to happen. Exactly. It was just, and if you didn't brush it off, you're a pussy.
That's the key point that I wanted to pull out, because you were vulnerable, you were weak if you spoke up about something that you were feeling, especially as a guy. Girls, not being sexist, racist, or whatever it is at the moment, it's one of those things that, girls were able to be a bit more expressive. Girls are a bit more expressive. But if you're a guy, you were, gone down that route of you're weak and you're inferior.
Yeah.
And I held on to things and I pushed them down deep, pushed that far away. And it's only now, and it's funnily enough through energy healing, energy work, and going a little bit different, not completely spiritual, but like different into a different world to understand who I am a little bit more. And that certainly helps me. And this sort of stuff helps too. Yeah.
So was there a catalyst moment? Was there a fuck me moment? Like I just full release, DMT, seen a third, your pineal gland, your third eye, whatever it's called?
There was a moment where a lot of us, it goes back to that inner child sort of stuff. So for me, the actual trigger that started it was missing out in the Olympics in 2004. That's what started my, full-blown hardcore suppressive sort of stuff. Yeah. I'd always had depression as a kid growing up. I was really shy. If you met me as a 15-year-old kid, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Yeah. I'd be over in the corner somewhere, just quiet, keeping to myself. It was a good friend of mine when I was 18. I was sports captain. He actually, out of the school, he brought me out, Matt Davis, really good hockey player, but he was just the complete opposite to me. I was shy and quiet, and he was like loud and boisterous and talked to anyone. And he helped me kind of, find my feet a little bit. But even then, I was having dark days. There was one day I remember I just wanted to go for a swim and just swim out to the ocean, just keep going and not come back and not think about it. Apparently that's not
Crazy
a normal
thoughts.
thought. Well, that's not a normal thought, right?
No, definitely not.
But that's what I thought at the time. And for me, that was my normal. So I kind of put it down to a dog being beaten all the time. Yeah. For that, it's normal. And for me, that was my normal, having those crazy thoughts like that, like how I could end it, how I could move on, how I could, go to the next life. But you know what? It's funny. There was one thing that brought me back. And there was a television commercial. And for the life of me, I cannot find it. But it was literally a guy, he's had a rough day, and it's almost like a room like this, funnily enough. Maybe it was shot here. No, it wouldn't have been built back there. But it had a chair, and he was standing on the chair and had the noose around the fan. Puts himself into the noose, and then you just see the legs dangling on the next shot. And hopefully this is not too confronting for anyone out there listening. But then the phone rings, and it rings all the way through, goes to the voicemail. It's the old school tape version, clicks on. Yeah. And it goes, "Congratulations, Johnny, you've won the lottery." And for that moment, that changed the way that I sort of thought about what it was, that you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. And even though you're going through a really shit time or really rough time in your thoughts, just breathe yourself through it, control yourself, calm down, do something that you love. For me, it's going in the water. And then, change the way you think about it.
That advert. One, do you
remember the advert?
It sounds extremely familiar.
I
can almost picture it in my head. And two, how the fuck was that allowed to be an advert?
Well, I don't think that would be allowed anymore.
No.
Imagine showing that.
The disclaimers on that before it started would be
absolutely not.
But that's what I might come across a little bit controversial here.
Please do.
Oh, I love it.
So
hold on, let me just bring it in. No, sorry. No.
So going to put the round of applause on again.
So, Mike, and I'm not advocating for kind of some of the treatment of people when they're going through sports and elites and become Olympians and world champions and stuff. But you've got to, we had an ex-Marine on last week that was talking about kind of just being broken down and then in essence being rebuilt through discipline and exercise and shout and scream down, all that kind of stuff, and what it's now helped him to do. How do you find that balance of, helping someone, kind of grooming them to be a champion and train discipline and giving them that structure that they need to just, I guess, being very, very laissez-faire and everybody just having flowers and everybody wins and gets a medal and takes part and thanks very much. Because I think when you go through that discipline, that journey, it is hard, and that's the hard stuff that brings back the demons and things like that. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? Like,
absolutely.
Where's the boundary? Because I think nowadays, you mentioned about we can't play this on TV and you can't, shout at kids at school anymore and you can't be disciplining your kids. And like, where's this going? Are we still going to be able to create champions? Are we still going to be able to create gold medal winners? Entrepreneurs, CEOs, people that can lead and make decisions. And do you know what I mean?
There's always going to be leaders. That's one thing. If the world falls apart and you look at the amount of stuff I watch on streaming services, but everything's leaning towards the end of the world. Everything's sort of apocalyptic, sort of, there's nice stuff about Beckham's in his story, but a lot of the stuff is leading up to what happens in, a zombie apocalypse, a COVID-esque kind of virus.
Mate, stick to stand-up comedy. That's what I tend to watch.
Ricky Gervais. There's always going to be, though, leaders. Yeah. There's always going to be people that are trying to push themselves. It's the personality. It's the way that they're brought up. Champions are made by pushing themselves. And I say this to a lot of the younger swimmers that I work with, some competitive swimmers now, and even adults. A personal best to somebody who's a world champion or a world record holder is their world record time. Their personal best is the world record. Kaylee McEwen just got the 50, 100 and 200 meter backstroke, world records. That's her personal best time. So the next time she beats her personal best, she's going to have another world record. Yeah. So you're only competing against yourself. Yeah. And I think, in the days of, social media where everybody's looking at what everybody else does, it hasn't changed because we're always trying to keep up with the Joneses. Whoever the bloody Joneses are, we don't know who they are. They're some bloody fictitious people. But I think now it's a lot harder because there's so many people comparing because everybody's got access to, amazing technology that they can take really good photos with. Yeah. So there's always going to be leaders. There's always going to be people that are going to step up. There's always going to be champions. There's always going to be people that come from, different motivations. Using Kaylee as another example, her father passed away from cancer really quick, and that's her motivation. So we find motivation in different things, right?
It's super difficult being a champion as well. I'm not talking from experience, but when you get to a certain level where you have to be at the top and you're the top of the business, right? No one's better than you. For example, I'm going to use Formula One for an example. For years, Toto Wolff was at the top of the charts, right? Top of the pops for you, John. And being up there is so lonely because you got no one to compare yourself to. You've not got no car to compare yourself to. You are the leading car, and for 8 years you were consecutively winning and winning and winning and winning and winning. At that level, how do you still find the motivation to keep winning? Because it's easier being second. Because when you're second, you've got someone to look up to. It's like, okay, how are they doing that? Okay, I can do that better. I can do that better. But when you're at the top, you're looking around. You got no one else to compare yourself to. So you always got to somehow think about how you're going to do this, how you're going to go to the next level, how you're going to keep going. You got no one else to compare yourself. So it's easier to become a champion being number 2 than to hold, in my opinion, than to be a champion and hold it for 8 years. So how, when you're at that level, you're winning gold medals, do you still find, okay, how can I perfect this? How can I get better at this? Is it lonely? It's massively psychological to be able to wake up and say, you know what, fuck it, I've got to be better somehow. Yeah. How did you find that better somehow? How do you keep going when you've hit that milestone like that?
When you've hit the peak, the motivation varies obviously for everybody, but it comes down to one simple thing, right? It's ego. We all have ego. That's why there's so much conflict within the world being controversial, because it's all ego driven. It's all, I want to be better than this. I want to be better than that. Whatever you can put the whatever better for whatever. I want to better my time. I want to better my stroke. I want to better the way that I swim. I want to better that person. I want to better me. Whatever it is, but it comes down to a lot of it, is just our ego and the way that drive to be better at something.
Yeah. So walk me through, because I'm a bit of an analytical guy, especially on motorsport side of things. All right, so analysing data traces, brake traces, accelerator traces, steering, everything like that. thousands of inputs. With swimming, you mentioned the stroke counts and everything else like that. What are the other sort of key technical attributes that you're looking at?
So the key technical, you're looking for the angle that you actually apply pressure to water. So I actually had it described really well today. Water flows. You want to flow with the water. So when we're talking about people who can't swim, you watch, and I throw the number out, but I say about 90% of the population within the world, when they get into the water, they fight. There's about 5%.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, it's most people. It's most, because that's our fight or flight response. That's our fear response that we're jumping into. Whereas most people, the elite guys or those that swim quite a bit, they're actually comfortable with the water. And when you watch a really good swimmer, they just look like they're just gliding through the water. And then you got the 5% that are stuck in between. It's kind of rough numbers, but that's what I kind of base it to. Because you just go to any pool and just watch people what they do in the water. And most of them are thrashing around and bashing through the water. Even those that look like they're swimming and doing laps, they're still bashing through the water. You're like, what are you doing that for? But the kind of things that we're looking for from a technical aspect is the way that you actually apply the pressure into the water. You're moving through the water. The hydrodynamics of how you're actually cutting through the water, whether you're sitting higher on the water, lower on the water, your physique, the way you float, the buoyancy. So it goes into so much technical data. And look, 20 years ago when I was sort of swimming, we down at the AIS, we had the guy with the scuba diving gear and like the full underwater housing, which is almost the size of this table, with a camera in there, and that's how we got the film on the VHS. These days, I can just put my iPhone in the water and I can give you full video analysis of what you're doing straight away. Go change this, and you're off. And that's, the advances that they've got within the technology has just gone next level. So they're really starting to nut down hundredths of a second, the same as like Formula One stuff. And every athlete, and I say this a lot, that every athlete is completely individual to the way they swim. There's no perfect stroke. There's no perfect freestyle, no perfect butterfly. There's what it looks like really good, but it's individual to each person. 8 Olympians are going to line up at the Olympics next year, and they're all going to swim slightly differently. A lot of people think, no, I saw that on YouTube. I've got to do the perfect sort of freestyle. There is none.
It's spot on, even motorsport.
Exactly, motorsport. Every car's different.
Alonso, when he was in the Renault, the championship winning Renault, his turning style, the way he used to do like some sort of understeer to scrub off speed and then heat up the tyre and then pull the car in. It's just a driving style that absolutely has never been seen before. It's never been replicated since, to be honest. Just amazing, I suppose you got to work with what you got.
And you know what? A lot of that comes down to the feeling, because those motorsport guys, they're not looking where the wheels are going. They're feeling it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the difference between an elite athlete versus everyday Joe. Sorry, Joe, but everyday people. There's a lot of Joes out there. But it's how you feel it and what you apply to it. And swimming's the same as driving cars. You've got to feel it. I used to do some stuff with monster trucks as well. And they're the same thing. You can't see where the bloody tyres are. You barely can see out the front of the damn things.
I always wondered how they were to drive, because you're up in this little sort of cage in a fiberglass shell over the top of you. Like, is there any floor in it? Can you see down?
You can see straight down because it's a cage. So it's literally just a skeleton. It's a skeleton. It's a chassis, and then there's just a plastic or fiberglass body on top of it. There's windows to make it look like a car.
But it's
you can't bloody see it. You might see the Gravedigger truck in the US where the doors open, whatever else, but he's not using those doors to get in and out of the bloody thing.
He's climbing up through the
center. You climb up through the center. And you're actually, when you're driving them most of the time, I didn't drive a lot with them. I was more commentating and doing the marketing side of things. But you're looking down into the wheels where the wheels are. So you're just looking in front underneath you. And that's why you got to stay completely clear of them, because they can't see a thing. It's like a truck. Trucks can't see right in front of them.
No, I drive trucks and they're very difficult.
Scary, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, to be honest, everyone else on the road is fucking scary.
Exactly. That's more to the point.
They just pull out right in front of you and just think that you can brake when you got, full load behind you. It's not the first time you heard that. No.
So, mate, back in the pool. What is it like to fly your country flag? What's that moment feel like? To put on a green and gold pair of, Speedos, country tracksuit. What's that feeling?
You got to think this is not just one moment. This is years of hard work. This is, at the time that I was on the national team was in my early 20s. So there's nearly, 18, 19 years, because I started around the age of 3 in the kind of in the water, that sort of familiarization, learned to swim like most people. By the age of 5, 6, I was actually starting to do like little mini squads, that sort of thing. 7, 8, getting into bigger squads. 9, 10, 11, winning local regional meets, school carnival, nailed it every year. And then progressed, very modest. Yeah. Then progressed into kind of club, state, national, international meets. And then when you get the green and gold jersey, get the tracksuit, that was me, Commonwealth Games. I competed at the Youth Commonwealth Games as well, but for the actual being on the full national team, words don't really describe it. This is something that you've worked on for so long. Yeah. I guess if I can put an analogy to it, it's like, buying your dream car that you wanted as a little kid. And you finally got it, whether that's a Ferrari, whether that's a Jeep Wrangler, whether that's whatever it is.
The monster truck, you
finally got that. That's what it is. But you've had to sacrifice and learn and push and, challenge yourself the whole way along to get that goal.
In that moment when you step up to the, what's it called, a block?
Block.
Yeah, fucking nailed it.
Back of the pool.
Nailed it. Are there familiar faces that you're versing?
Oh, there's always familiar faces.
Yeah.
Even on an international scale, because we don't just race at the Commonwealth Games, World Champs, or at the Olympics. There's so many different meets in between. There's World Cups. The guys have just come off World Cups right now, and the World Cups used to be where we'd make the money, because as an elite athlete, unless you're like the Thorpe, Hackett, kind of more Thorpe, you're making actually a bit of money out of it to survive through your sponsorships. Yeah, sponsorships I don't think have gotten to the same sort of level as what they were back then. Yeah. I see some of the guys on different things here and there. I think a lot of it's social media now. That's where they sort of make their money, by doing posts. But you'd have to do that sort of, marketing of yourself. But if you weren't in that top kind of 0.5%, you have to work all the way through. You have to,
still have a day job.
So I had a day job. I worked for an event management company for, it was sort of full-time, but on a part-time sort of hours. The guys down at Cram sold out events. They were incredible. I learned a lot about myself too, because you're putting yourself under different sort of pressure, trying to create events and think about things. And they're going to apply that to training as well. Some mornings you just rocked up to work, they're bloody exhausted. You just want to go sleep in the corner.
Oh, yeah, that's me every day.
Yeah.
So why doesn't...
Hold on.
Why doesn't swimming attract the commercial interest over here, considering we are so well known for it?
The biggest thing is, and not being controversial, just looking at it from my...
It can absolutely be controversial.
Well, my personal perspective on it is we're not in it enough. So when, I was on the national team, I was getting an amount of money. It wasn't enough to survive. It was enough for probably coffees for the week. Yeah. Didn't drink coffee back then, but now I do, and probably about the same amount that I spend. Yeah. But a footballer who would sit on the bench for the NRL, AFL, rugby union, they'd earn, 10 times, 20, 30, 40 times of that just to sit on the bench. Yeah. Because the sport was on every single weekend.
Yeah, okay.
The way you do that is sort of what the guys are doing now. And a lot of guys my age, ex-swimmers, are back in doing like corporate speaking, public speaking, doing swimming clinics, and doing those sort of endorsement things. Yeah. Even though they were like not has-beens, but they were in the sport 20 years ago. Yeah. Big names back then. But if I talk to some of the younger kids that I do some stuff with now and I talk about some of the names, no idea. They're just looking at you blank. So you have to reference it with current guys. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest reason for it, to be honest with you. There's, we are one of the number one, we are the number one nation in the world for swimming by gold medals.
Absolutely.
Take that, John.
Have you seen the water in the UK? 1, it's cold, and 2, it's dirty.
Yeah, you can't see the bottom. It's all churned up. There's some bloody good swimmers out of the UK, though. Yeah. There always has been.
Well, because it's cold.
They've got to be quick to get out.
Did you call them their has-beens?
Oh, no, not the has-beens. No, there was beans.
No.
Look, the reality is the money's in on the sport, but there's not enough money in any sport at the moment.
Football, there is. Soccer.
Soccer, soccer, football. Yeah. Because there's a lot of investors in that, and it's always on, and there's always major meets.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think one of the challenges Australia has is that there's so many sporting codes over here.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at New Zealand, 99.9%, I've just made this number up, of the budget would probably go to rugby union, right?
Yeah.
And to kind of grassroots rugby union and all that. Now I think there's a smattering that would go to football and a smattering would go to cricket as well. And then you've got the women's sides coming in as well, which is really exciting. Australia, you've got 4 or 5 different codes, and then you've got swimming as well. So it's like, and you've got a small population.
Yeah.
So
Large country, small population.
Yeah, so it's very hard, I think, maybe to spread that across.
Of course.
And to your point, if there's not eyes on it and there's not a regular cadence of meets or events, then it's how do you keep people interested? You know, I'd love to see any numbers around, the Women's World Cup and who still follows the Matildas. And we did a phenomenal job over here, I think, hosting. Great event. It was, I think, one of the only World Cups and big events that made money, because countries don't really make money from World Cups or Commonwealth Games hosting them. It's more the prestige of doing it. So
Bad accountants.
I got to say, to that point though, from the Matildas, what they did, even though we didn't get all the way through, the enrollment, the grassroots of soccer went next level.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive.
So
I've seen cricket trying to jump on it as well, with trying to recruit some girls, and it's like, nah.
Well, you know what it is for Australian sport, and what I think personally is we're almost like kids playing soccer. Have you ever watched the 5-year-olds play soccer?
Oh, yeah, kick and chase.
Just, follow the ball, follow the ball.
You just see
and
like this massive group just running after the ball.
Adrian is the same on the Sunday.
I still play with under fives. No.
You knock them over.
Wait, no, I don't.
But
no.
that's our mentality. If we're doing really well, we're like a one-hit wonder for this few months. People talk about it, wow, but then we're on to the next thing. And obviously social media doesn't help that, because the next thing happens instantaneous. The next thing, from a Sydney Olympics perspective, took a couple of years to unwind, into the next events. What are we going to do? Now it's like, what happened with the World Championship swimming in Japan last year? Do you remember that? Exactly. No. Most people are like that, they don't know. Unless you're a hardcore enthusiast, you're not really into it.
So you mentioned it was a lot of sort of competitions, World Cup stuff leading up to Commonwealth Games and all that.
Yep.
The pressure levels at both of those, do you feel a different pressure level when it was the Commonwealth Games in comparison to the World Cup, or is it the same sort of, you got a job to do, you know what you need to do, you step up to the block, you do what you got to do?
Yes and no. So yes, because you put a lot of pressure on yourself. And when I was swimming, a lot of the pressure that I put on myself was to be what I thought I needed to be on the team. I didn't really have who I identified. So I always said, now I say, like I jokingly say, I identified as a swimmer, because that's all I knew. I didn't know anything different, and I was trying to be the version of myself. So you watch most of the swimmers when they, finish a race. How was that race? It was really good time. Looking forward to the next one. Yeah. It's almost like there's no personality.
Yeah.
It's like it's scripted.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what we were sort of not groomed, but that's what was sort of taught in terms of media training.
Yeah.
I'm a completely different person. If I was what I know now back then, I'll be completely different. Do what I want to do rather than what I think I should be doing.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest difference, but still representing your country, putting on the green and gold cap, we had the old swimsuits as well, the full fast skin suits.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was that era. Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Did it make a difference?
It did psychologically, I think.
Placebo job.
Placebo, and a little bit like the compression, because that's what the spin-off from that was. So because they were so tight, they actually wouldn't allow the lactic acid to build up as quick.
Yeah.
So it actually kind of gave you a little bit more performance.
Really?
Hydrodynamics as well, because they would cut through, streamline through the water. Yeah. But you'd shave down anyway. We'd shave everything.
Yeah.
Everything would go.
Yeah.
Because that was a nice feeling when you dived in. From like full hairy gorilla down to like sleek and smooth.
Yeah.
But then you put the suit on and you kind of felt like, I guess, a superhero in a way. Like, look at me.
I was going to ask if that was the era of that suit. Do they still use those suits, or?
They don't. No, they use the girls use a variant of the suits. The guys, only shorts or Speedos.
Yeah.
But interesting fact, back in 1999 when we were having the Olympic trials, one of the first events at Homebush, because some athletes were sponsored by Speedo, they got access to the suits. So all the coaches here in Australia had a massive uproar and said, how can some athletes have the suits and others not? So Speedo flew out suits from all over the world to give every athlete that was racing at the national championships, which was the selection trial, an opportunity to wear the suits.
Yeah.
So, that was pretty good on their behalf,
Yeah.
Speedo, to do that.
Sure.
And, there weren't other brands back then. Then, as it continued on for another couple of years before they were banned, there were like lots of different variations, brands and stuff like that. But they all pretty much did the same thing. Kept you really tight, squeezed you in, made you feel good.
So speaking of sports,
Which
there's
is
always
none of my clothes.
speaking of sports, there's always a taboo topic that I just want to sort of mention. Doping. Is it a thing? Was it apparent? Do you know who was doing it? Do you see it? Is it obvious?
Long story short, no.
No.
You'd always sort of think every now and then, because how can somebody jump so incrementally so quickly
Yeah.
and perform at a meet, when they haven't been performing throughout?
Yeah.
Not naming any names at all, but
No, I wouldn't want you to.
but yeah, you kind of question that sometimes. But the drug testing that we do was crazy. Like I remember one time they rocked up to my house.
Just randomly?
Yeah, random drug test. Rocked up at my house, knocked on the door, and I'm like, I've got to go to an appointment.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, we'll come with you.
What?
So I'm not ready to go. So yeah, went
Just
around.
hang around until you got to do a slash.
Yeah, pretty much, because they have to witness it.
Yeah.
They'd have to see it. So yeah, they have to see it. You're actually passing, the urine, the substance.
Wow.
Fuck, you better hope it's not cold, eh? It's not usually like this, I swear.
No. Yeah.
If you stand on national TV in a pair of Speedos, I think you're all right.
Yeah,
I think you're doing all right.
Yeah, you're not bad.
Yeah, it's kind of becomes your normal.
Yeah.
Mate, how does it feel winning the gold? So you mentioned obviously flying the flag and wearing the green and gold, but getting a gold medal, and what's that like?
It's weird. It's kind of mixed emotions, really, because it is something that you've strived for, you've always wanted to get. And it's great to have it. And I've looked at them, and my girlfriend, she got them framed with one of my suits, which looks absolutely incredible. All of my medals for all my different achievements. And it's something you look at and go, wow, that's a lot of work. But then at the same time, it was such a place for me of hurt and pain.
Yeah.
It's kind of like mixed emotions. Standing on the dais, especially as a relay team member for the 4x200, that was my gold medal at the Commonwealth Games. To have Ian Thorpe, Grant Hackett, Leon Dunn, three really accomplished swimmers. So you're mixing it with the absolute best of the best.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
Yeah. So beat your chest for the viewers and the listeners. Tell us your medal tally. Tell us what you got hanging up.
So what I've got hanging up is a Commonwealth Games gold medal, 4x200. The year after, straight after that, we went into Pan Pac. So I got a Pan Pacific, which is the first time racing in the US, gold medal, the 4x200 with that. I was sixth at the Commonwealth Games in the 200 freestyle, only by a hand touch, not much at all, between third and sixth. And then a World Champions, the championship medal the next year in 2003, gold medalist at the 4x200. But the funniest thing out of all of those, like the international gold medals and the relays, amazing. For me personally, my best achievement, it's going to sound really weird, was a bronze medal at the Australian Championships, which got me my berth onto the Commonwealth Games. But it was third behind Ian Thorpe and Grant Hackett.
Oh, fuck off.
Really?
So for me, that medal means a lot because that was me achieving my goal of making it onto the national team, like the full national team, not a junior national team.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was my best. And I trained with Thorpe for 5 years. And we worked, trained up and down, 10 sessions a week, 2.5 hours in the pool most of the time.
Yeah.
So you got to know Thorpe really well, but that third medal, that's me doing it on my own. So that's my kind of biggest achievement.
Yeah, nice.
Hey, congrats.
Thank you.
To change lanes.
Go.
I got it. It's a good one.
To get out of the pool into a bigger one.
Go. Different stroke. You mentioned about entering the workforce in 2004.
Yep.
How do you transition? So you mentioned about ego earlier, right?
Yep.
Now, not many people in the world have represented their country. Not many people in the world have won a gold medal. How do you transition from a life of, an Olympian?
Near Olympian. See, that's the thing. 2004 was the catalyst into the next journey of my life because I missed out in the Olympics by the click of a fingers. And that was it. It was all over. my whole thing, my whole plan, I had the stepping stones: club, state, national, Commonwealth Games gold, World Championship gold. The next step is the Olympics, and I missed out on that because I don't know. It's just one of those things. Got up in the morning, did the race, didn't make it into the final, and then that was the dreams all over. So that destroyed me. But then you got to get up and race because you got another chance. So the 400 was first, and that was the year in 2004, I don't even remember, where Thorpe fell in the 400 free at the start. So he was disqualified from the 400, so he's out of his pet event. And then I'm lining up for the 200, and I didn't make it through to the final. I was absolutely gutted. I had another shot at the 100 meter freestyle, but that wasn't my specialty. And I didn't go too bad in that, but I didn't perform. I didn't make the team. So there's my Olympic dream gone. I've already tried once in 2000, and I tried again in 2004. And at the ripe age of 22, after 6 months of trying to get back into training after missing out on the team, I walked away from the sport. Literally just shut the door and walked away. So I didn't really know what I was doing. I only actually met Tracy when I was commentating. I commentated about a month ago at the Australian Short Course Championships on 9 Now, and that was a dream for me because I always thought when I finished swimming I'd get into commentating. It only took me nearly 20 years to do it, but I got to do it and I absolutely loved it. It was an amazing experience.
Nice.
But I didn't know who I was, what I was doing, and I just shut down, walked away from the sport, didn't swim at all, didn't watch the Olympics, only watched the Olympics the first time in Tokyo just recently. I only watched my race from starting to do some motivational speaking again. I never watched my Commonwealth Games race. I only saw little bits of it, never the whole thing. So, it destroyed me.
Yeah, I bet.
Absolutely destroyed me. And look, I was young. I retired at 22, but I probably should have stuck it out for a little bit longer in hindsight. But then that opened so many doors to the crazy journey that I had from that. So going to the workforce, working for events, loved that, really fast-paced thinking. We'd set up all the Australian Surf Lifesaving Championships, like 5 kilometres of beach, the look and the feel and signage. You get all the signage put up, beautiful big banners, like 5 metres by 4 metres wide. Then a bloody southerly buster would come through. And you're like, with a paper cut, trying to cut through the presentation banner, making it look all pretty, but trying to cut holes in it so the wind can go through, so it's not giant taking off and taking out half the public. So I did that for a number of years, and then I decided I wanted to travel. So swimming opened up the door for the world, and traveling and seeing different things and meeting different people. And I love talking to people. So I jumped on a cruise ship and worked for Disney Cruise Lines for 3.5 years.
Awesome.
So traveled around with those guys, the Caribbean, Bahamas, and then Mexican Riviera. That's where I kind of learned how to deal with people and meet people.
So dive instructor, is that when you did diving instructing?
No. So I was a tour guide. I started as a lifeguard on the island and then tour guide. But then I went into I had enough of the cruise ship. Too many negative North American people complaining. Like, you're on a cruise ship, Mickey Mouse is bloody there, and Donald and all the troops. People are complaining about stuff, and I'm like, I can't deal with this. There's only so much. Come on. Like, we're in the happiest place in the world, and the most miserable
still
people.
miserable.
Come on. That's not going to fix
It's
you.
just some people that just love to be fucking miserable.
That's and you know what? That's their thing though. Negative breeds negative.
There's a misery loves company.
So true. But I decided, I wanted to come back to Australia, and it's one of these things that I now live my life by, which is plant the seed and water it. So I plant the idea of what it is that I want to do, and then I continue to think about it, water it, and eventually it comes into sort of fruition. So what I wanted to come back to Australia, travel my own backyard. I ended up scoring a job with the Australian precision driving team, which are the guys at the Royal Easter Show, used to be the V8s. And then we had Hiluxes, so I was in the Hilux time, and travelled the countryside with those guys, commentating and doing the marketing side of things, and absolutely loved it.
So wait, were you one of the steerers or the commentator?
I was a commentator.
Oh, okay.
I was the talker.
I was like, fucking hell, let's go outside. I want to see some of this shit. I want to see you on 2 wheels, mate.
You know what? I learned a lot from those guys about it. And I played with all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I bet.
As you do, being a part of it. And these 4 drivers that we had were incredible, accomplished rally drivers here in the state and sort of international levels. But what they could do around like a tiny little arena with like a little, barbed wire fence and not crash, it's just insane. Half the time they couldn't see. The 3 cars behind couldn't see what was going on because there's all stone chips in the windscreen or the sun or dirt.
Muscle memory and will work.
But then the boss that we had, Scotty, at the time, he decided that he wanted to get into monster trucks. So he bought all the monster trucks in Australia and then started building and making like the Monster Jam style trucks.
Yeah.
And so I'd go across after doing my marketing for the driving team in the afternoons and go put together a big V8 blown, engine, Chevy engine, or do a little bit of welding here and there, helping the guys out, fixing shocks, cleaning paint, whatever, building monster trucks. So then we started driving, commentating, and doing that as well around the country, which I loved.
Fuck, that's niche.
Oh,
Man,
big time.
What an amazing experience. That's so niche. Because I'm in the automotive industry, and like I don't know anyone that's built or had anything to do with monster trucks. It's so far away from what I do.
It's an amazing.
It's cool.
Because these guys were hardcore motorsport guys as well.
Yeah.
So they'd always do the Bathurst 24 hour.
Yeah.
The guy in the shop where the monster trucks were, we'd have Ferraris, he'd have Evo Sports, racing around as well. So kind of surrounded by all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It was like, this is talking about planting the seed. This is my childhood dream. I wanted to work with monster trucks, and here I am. I get to drive them. Didn't do a lot of the stunty sort of stuff. I should have probably got a bit more into it, but I was too good on the microphone, so they wouldn't let me.
Yeah, exactly. Should have put a mic in the car.
I did a couple of times.
Some sweet verts.
I did it with this precision driving team at the Royal Leicester Show. I'd jump in with a microphone and commentate from the car as the guys are racing, drifting around the arena, which was sick. But after a few years of that, I decided, I wanted to travel again. And I was kind of getting into my 30s, close to my 30s. And I was like, you know what? It's time. When I worked on the cruise ship, we pulled into one of the ports, St. Martin. I think St. Martin or St. Thomas, one of the two. But there was a private yacht there. And the private yacht had a tender boat, so a smaller boat to take the people ashore, which was like, what you'd see here on Sydney Harbour, 80-foot thing. But it was colour matched. Everything was the same. And I was like, one day I want to work on that. And, it was about 5-6 years later, I ended up becoming a scuba diving instructor because I always loved diving. That was my transition from swimming. Yeah. And underwater photography, loved that. But then went in and ended up with a job on a very well-known Australian's private yacht. Yeah. Traveling the world. Joined it in French Polynesia. Traveled around Bora Bora, some incredible experiences there. Brought it back to New Zealand. Then from New Zealand went down to Antarctica for a month. Wow. And sailed around Antarctica.
Fuck, that would have been amazing.
Oh, incredible! If I say this to everybody, if you have the opportunity to go to Antarctica, do it. Yeah, just changes your perspective. And hurry up before it melts. Yeah, but changes your whole perspective.
Anytime soon.
I don't think so.
Fucking huge.
It's huge. It's actually rocky. I didn't think it was. I thought it was like Ice Age. It's a big iceberg thing. But no, it's actually rocks and mountains and incredible. But the experience, we got to go into like Shackleton's Hut,
No way.
explorers. Yeah, we got to go into that where they've done restorations on it. And there was a table about the size of what we've got here. And there was an emperor penguin laying on there and it had been opened up and dissected. But because it was so cold, it was frozen on the table still.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was incredible.
Hadn't decomposed nothing.
It was just, frozen penguin on the table opened up.
Oh, mate, fire up the Barbie.
Fire up the
I
Barbie.
wonder what that tastes like. So you've mentioned a few times now about sowing the seed.
Yep.
And you're big on manifesting the win.
Correct.
Right? There's truth to that? Because I think so. So I'm a very big believer in sort of, manifesting the win. I'm always picturing what I want to do next and everything like that. And it sort of comes to fruition. Has that really helped you throughout your career?
Without a doubt. I kind of did this through the swimming time without even knowing that. You can call it another thing. It's really simple. It's setting goals. But it's setting a goal in a way that you actually believe in it. And eventually that's what you create. You create your own thing. I'm a big believer in energy. Yeah. We are energy. Like, these microphones, all of this sort of stuff. Yeah. It's just things moving.
100%.
And I think when you start to travel the world and see different experiences, you understand that we're not as big, we're not as amazing as human beings as what we think we are. We're no different to ants all congregating together. And, a lot of people won't like that because, a lot of their ego drives the way that they think about things. But I try, and we'll all have bad days. Someone's going to piss you off. That's reality of life. But I try and be, the nice guy all the time. Yeah. Just be the genuine positive version of myself as much as I can. And I used to take a lot of negativity on board, especially when I was swimming. I think that's the biggest change in my mindset now to where I am. Yeah. Because, from Antarctica, went up to the Mediterranean, was working on the yacht still, and the owner that I worked for was quite influential in terms of celebrities. So I had some of the most incredible celebrities on the yacht. But what I realized is that they're just people.
They're just dudes. Yeah.
They're just people doing cool shit because that they want to do what they want to do. They're doing what they want to do. I can give you, like, I worked for Mariah Carey for 6 months, and yes, she has that diva about her, but she's actually pretty down to earth and a bloody amazing person. She can still sing phenomenally, but she's just
Shit swimmer?
a person. I didn't see her actually. No, I did, because that's how we started. If you Google jet ski guy out there, you'll find out where I actually met Mariah. It was a paparazzi shot. And my best mate called me from over. I was in bed. He called me from here, going, "Mate, you're on TV." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "That's you on TV on a jet ski, right, with Mariah Carey?" I went, "Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know where we are." But yeah, paparazzi got her and pretty much had a nip slip, and it went viral. And I was in that photo, and then that's how I was actually having chat about her life, like how crazy it is, because at that point we're in the Mediterranean, in the middle of nowhere, and she's got like 10 paparazzi
That's fucked.
hiding on the beach in boats and whatever else. So yeah, I was like, this is not a life.
That doesn't seem like a good life.
You know what I learned from celebrities? I don't want to have that life. I want to be influential. I want to be able to tell my story and help people, but I don't want to be like that where your life is sort of dictated to you. You have control over some things, but not a lot.
I just want the super yacht.
You know what? The funny thing is about super yacht, they're cool, but a lot of the time people aren't appreciating it. The best time to get up on a super yacht, if you ever get on one, is in the morning. The water's flat. You've got every single kind of water sport toy you could imagine to play with. But everybody gets up at about 11, 12 o'clock. So they've had a big night out in the town, don't remember what they're doing. And the wind's gone up, it's gone to shit, and, it's horrendous. So us deckhands and, dive instructors and all the crew, we'd have some of the best moments from the sunrise all the way through to the mid-morning.
Oh, yeah.
By the time they stir,
Magic hour.
yeah, they're all complaining because, it's too windy, it's too wet, it's this,
What a
it's
thing
that.
to fucking whinge about, huh?
I know.
On your super yacht.
On your super
Too
yacht.
bloody windy. Hey, John, is that you? You whinging?
Not at all, mate. I've been fortunate enough to wake up on one in Sydney Harbour. So
Have you?
Yeah. And so I can identify with that because that was absolutely sublime.
Yeah.
There's little moments like that. You just go, this is, life's pretty good. So I can imagine if you're in some of the parts of the world you've seen, especially like Antarctica, it'd be very, very special.
It is, and I think you just touched on something that I think most people need to do every day, and we don't do enough of it. Have a moment.
Yeah.
It's one thing that Mariah taught me is just have a moment, enjoy moments. On the yacht, you'd be in the Mediterranean, you've worked, like below deck, you've worked for 15 hours straight, and you're absolutely exhausted. The crew are really pissing you off because we've been in close quarters for such a long period of time, like caged egg, caged chickens, because you can't get off the boat. It's not your life as a crew, but you stop and look around. And I remember counting one day where we were just off, Cannes near the film festival.
Yeah.
And I counted 50 boats that were over 50 metres in this bay. The boat that I was on was a 90-metre one.
Yeah.
But 50, we were on a big one. Actually, that wasn't even big. It wasn't even in the top. Actually, it was just outside of the top 20.
How many years ago?
We're talking 2013. No,
Would have been Abramovich's boat, which was 110, which would have been the biggest.
that was the biggest.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it
So
wasn't
90's
2013.
fucking big, man.
I don't remember. Buddy, everything's just quite a blur now. It's in my 30s. So 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2013.
And you weren't even the biggest boat there at a 90-metre boat.
No,
Fuck, that's some big dick energy.
it is, isn't it?
Hey, so just go and check out Monaco.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Have you ever been for F1?
No, not for F1, no.
Do it. Just if that's your thing, if you love,
I love
motor
it. I
racing,
love I think it's a shit race.
It's a shit race, but go for the experience
I think you
of.
enjoy the historic Grand Prix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd prefer to go to the historic one.
Okay.
Yeah. Formula One this season is kind of, to be honest, ever since Drive to Survive, Formula One's dead to me.
Yeah.
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 Fucking
As you
nicely
hit
timed.
as you drop the bucket, literally.
Hit rock bottom, bang.
Yeah.
But I think going back to your bit about having a moment, it's really it's one of the things really important to take out, because if you are on a journey and you're striving to a goal, or you're trying to hit your KPI or your number,
Yeah.
or you're trying to better yourself in some way, to sit and reflect and look at how far you've come, or just to stop. Because we don't get them very often now. You know,
No.
even if you go on the train, everybody's on their phone. You know, if you sit in an Uber, everybody's on their phone. If you go and just sit and have a coffee, everybody's on their phone.
Yeah.
Very rarely people just sit and just breathe in and take the world on, you know. I love people watching. If I could lose weight people watching, I'd be in peak form.
Well, you just got to stop eating when you're there.
I know, exactly. Yeah. But I love that. And those little moments, you know, I walk to work, and the reason I love it is because you can have those little moments, you know. It's something that I've been very, very mindful of this year in just terms of just stopping.
Yeah. I have my moment to myself in the morning. As you know, I wake up at stupid o'clock. And then pretty much I walk in the middle of the road all the way to the gym. It's only 3Ks there, 3Ks back. And I walk to the gym every morning, and I'm walking in the middle of the road just looking up at the stars. So I know now where every single star is because I've got this app. So I look at which one's Sirius, which one's, you know, Centauri, all of these different stars. And every morning I'm just looking up and just walking through it. And it's just fucking the most surreal moment because there's no one on the road. There's no, like, I might see one car, you know, and in 3Ks walking there.
And the guy from your coffee shop that questioned whether...
Yeah. Him going to the markets going, what the fuck is this bloke doing up at this time of the morning?
Is he drunk again? Sleepwalking?
We literally had a coffee the other day, and he goes, are you, do you kind of walk past here about 3 o'clock in the morning most mornings? And he's like, yeah. And he goes, every morning I see someone. Is that you? And he goes, yeah. This guy's gone to the market to get the food for the day, and this clown's going to the gym.
It's good, mate. You can go there, and no one else is on the equipment. There's no one there.
Yeah,
it's bliss. That's my moment.
It's funny. My moment now is what I do.
Yeah.
What I do. I started my own business 2 years ago. I was
this
working.
is Swimley, yeah?
This is Swimley. Yeah. So I was working for a billionaire, another one here in Australia, and I was in the inner sanctum. I was working on his private yacht as a dive instructor, personal dive guide. We'd go out and do underwater photography, some incredible stuff, you know, from big whale sharks all the way down to little pygmy seahorses.
Oh, wow.
And then COVID hit, and I was fortunate to be, you know, in a full-time job, unlike so many people that were being put off. Very fortunate for that. But then I got put into like an office role, and it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And because I was so, you know, thankful and respectful and loyal to the boss, I stuck it out for as long as I could. And I was in their house doing, you know, maintenance stuff as well. So it was kind of jack of all trades for it. But then some stuff happened, and it made me really realize my self-worth. And I started doing some coaching stuff here and there. I've always been helping people with swimming. Yeah. And I just realized that there's, you know, it was a statistic that came out that 1 in 4 Australians are either weak swimmers or non-swimmers. And this is not the immigrants that everybody thinks it is. This is, you know, Aussies, adults that have grown up here in the country. Most of them have been thrown into the water. That's how they learn to swim. And I realized that, you know what, I want to help these people. So that's how Swimly started. I started helping people that have trauma around water or aquaphobia, thalassophobia. You know, they have the fear of like big bodies of water or fear of water with aquaphobia. And I started, you know, promoting that, advertising that, and people didn't really know who I was at first. And then as we're talking through the sessions, because a lot of it's mindset stuff. We're in the water, it's water therapy, but a lot of it's around like life coaching sort of things. And I start telling people what I did and who I was, and like, why is a world champion swimmer helping me get over my fear of water?
Yeah.
And I'm like, because this is my passion.
Yeah.
Like I love being in the water. I want to be able to share this with people. So that's how sort of Swimly started, and it's kind of grown into this thing now. I've got 2 other instructors working for me, mainly focus on adults, but you know, competitive kids. There was one girl that came to work with me and took 3 seconds off a 50-meter breaststroke, and then other parents cottoned up and like, what are you doing? And then, so that's kind of spiraled in as well. And I've got like a, you know, competitive side. I'm working with some really good up-and-coming guys that I know are going to be at the 2032 Olympics if they stick in the sport. Then I've got my adults, you know, from 45 to kind of 80. The oldest client that I've worked with was a 90-year-old that never put a face in the water.
Yeah.
Even in the shower, like never 90 years.
Wow. That's some serious phobia.
That is. And a lot of it's simple because it's changing the way you think about things. And even, you know, for people that are swimmers, like good swimmers, I get triathletes, Ironman, you know, guys that are doing ocean stuff. I help them change the way they think about what they're doing in the water because nobody actually really does that. They just you got to do something.
Yeah.
You don't do swimming. You feel it.
Yeah.
you feel being in the water, and that's kind of what the ethos is about my swimming, and it's kind of taken off. Like I never thought, like it's only 2 years in, and you know I'm nearly booked out and seeing 75 clients a week.
Yeah. Congratulations,
That's
mate.
awesome.
That's
Thank
fucking awesome.
Well, mate, they're the seeds you planted, right?
And that's literally it. One of the things that when I wrote down what my goals were, you know, quite a few years ago, was one of the things that I love. One of my pros was I love helping people, and this is what I'm doing. Like, yeah, I go to work. The money's a byproduct of what I do. It's a necessity to, you know, and you keep putting the prices up as you get, you know, more full.
Yeah.
And you know, you get more people coming in, demand, that sort of stuff. But I'd love to do it for free, but unfortunately, I've got to.
Yeah, of course.
I got a 1 month old baby, so I've got to, you know, put her and my partner, you know, first as well. And yeah, it's one of those things that I absolutely love it every time I go, because I'm just like this. I'm just connecting with people.
Yeah.
That's good.
We do some swimming on the side and we talk.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's awesome, man. Keep it up.
I don't think it's going to change.
Yeah.
It might go different tangents. You know, I'm flying to Dubai in January to speak at a swimming conference about how I teach adults. So things are sort of going different ways. I've got the commentating stuff that I love doing. I never thought I would. It's always something I wanted to do, but once I got into it, you know, all this stuff's in here.
Mate, it's all happening now.
Just got to let it out. So yeah.
Nice.
Fantastic. Well, mate, if people are curious to learn a bit more about Swimly, if they want to have a chat, I guess if you're on the kind of speaking circuit, if they just want to get involved and engage you in any way, how do people reach out?
Look, info@swimly.com.au. Jump online, the Instagram @GoSwimly. So GoSwimly.
Yeah.
The fear stuff I love talking about because it's personal, it's honest, it's real, and it's raw. I did one for a big corporate group not long ago for 300 people, and literally, you know, just bearing my soul.
Yeah.
People love that sort of stuff, and I know, you know, it is a very unique story. But I think if I can inspire one person to do something differently that's better for them, then I've ticked the box.
Job done.
Yeah.
Tick the box. Yeah.
Perfect.
Nice.
Well, mate, thank you for coming and sharing your story.
No, thank you guys.
For
Really
reaching out
appreciate
and
it.
saying hi. It's been awesome to have you on the show. And just congratulations.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Look, life is a journey and you continue on it and you never know what's around the corner. But I know one day, this is planting the seed, I'm going to get that phone call that I've won the lottery.
Yeah.
There you go.
You will, mate. Thanks for coming on, mate. That was awesome.
Good, James.
Thanks, guys. Absolute pleasure.
Uru.